Right now, your emails, photos, and social media posts are being fed into AI models by companies you've never heard of, and there's almost nothing stopping them. I know that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I'm going to walk you through exactly how this works, why it's legal in most places, and what you can actually do about it. By the end, you'll understand why your data is basically the oil of the AI era and how the machine learning industry runs on it without asking. Let's start with the basics. When you train an AI model, when you teach it to recognize faces, write emails, or generate images, it needs data. Lots and lots of data. We're talking billions of examples. And that data has to come from somewhere. Here's the thing. Building a dataset from scratch is expensive and slow. So instead, companies scrape the internet. They take images from Google Images, text from Reddit and blogs, code from GitHub, videos from YouTube, basically anything publicly accessible. And technically, it's public, so legally, in most jurisdictions, they can do it. No permission needed. No notification. Nothing. Let me give you a concrete example. When OpenAI trained GPT-3, they used a dataset called Common Crawl, which is literally a snapshot of the entire internet. Every article you wrote, every comment you posted, every forum discussion you participated in, it probably ended up in that dataset. And OpenAI wasn't the only one. Google, Meta, Anthropic, Stability AI, they all do this. They all crawled the web and pulled your words into their training data. But here's where it gets more invasive. It's not just public stuff anymore. Some companies have also bought datasets from data brokers, firms that collect personal information from hundreds of sources and sell it. Your phone number, your location history, your shopping habits, your health searches, all bundled up and licensed to AI companies. You never opted into this. You just existed online, and your data became a commodity. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but my data is anonymized, right? It's mixed in with billions of other data points, so no one can trace it back to me. And that's partially true. But here's the problem. Researchers have shown that if you know what you're looking for, you can often de-anonymize data. If I know your approximate age, location, and a few other details, I might be able to find you in a supposedly anonymous dataset. Plus, the model itself can leak information. There are techniques called membership inference attacks where you can actually ask an AI model, does this person's data exist in your training set? And sometimes it tells you yes. Let me break down the actual process of how your data becomes part of an AI model. Step 1. Collection. A company or researcher decides they need a dataset. They write a script that automatically downloads everything they can find from the internet, or they buy access to a data broker's collection. Step 2. Cleaning. They remove obvious duplicates and filter out spam or corrupted files. This is still mostly automated. Step 3. Labeling. For some tasks, they need humans to label data, to mark which images contain faces, which texts are toxic, which code snippets are secure. These labelers are often paid very little, sometimes just a few cents per label, and they might see your private information in the process. A lot of this happens in countries with lower labor costs, where privacy protections might be weaker. Step 4. The actual training. They feed all this data into a neural network, which learns patterns. The model doesn't memorize your specific post or email. It learns the statistical patterns across billions of examples, including yours. Step 5. Deployment. The trained model gets shipped to users, and now it's making predictions or generating text based on patterns learned from your data. Here's what most people don't realize. You have almost no legal recourse in most places. In the US, there's no comprehensive data privacy law. The First Amendment actually protects a lot of scraping as free speech. In Europe, GDPR is stronger. It gives you the right to access your data and request deletion, but enforcement is slow, and by the time you request deletion, your data is already baked into the model. And here's the kicker. Even if you delete your data from the training set, the model doesn't forget. The patterns it learned from your data are still there. You can't untrain a neural network. So what can you actually do? First, understand that you can't opt out completely. If you post publicly on the internet, assume it's in a training dataset somewhere. But you can reduce your exposure. Keep your social media private. Don't post sensitive information online. Use privacy tools like VPNs if you're comfortable with them. Second, support regulation. Europe's GDPR and AI Act are imperfect, but they're a start. If you live in a place with weaker laws, that's actually a reason to care about this. your data is even more exposed. Third, be skeptical of AI companies that claim they respect privacy but won't explain where their training data came from. Red flag. Here's the uncomfortable truth. AI companies need your data to build better models, and right now, the incentives are all stacked in their favor. You get a free service or a free tool, and they get your data. It feels fair because you're not paying money, but you are paying just in a currency you can't see. And the companies have no real reason to stop this, because the legal and regulatory frameworks haven't caught up to the technology. So what's going to change? My guess is regulation will eventually force more transparency. Companies will probably have to disclose where they got their training data, and you might get better rights to opt out or request deletion. But that's years away. Right now, your data is still fair game. The reason I'm telling you all this isn't to panic you. It's so you understand how the machine learning industry actually works. The next time you hear about a new AI model that's incredibly powerful, you'll know part of the reason why. It's trained on billions of pieces of data from people who never agreed to it. And that's not a conspiracy. That's just how the industry operates today. If you want to stay ahead of how AI is actually being built, not just the hype, subscribe. I break down these uncomfortable truths about AI every few days, and you'll actually understand what's happening instead of just reading headlines.